Welcome to our podcast, What No Mom Told You, where the rarely spoken truths finally get loud.
I'm Megan Nelson.
And I'm Pauline Walfish. And this is a therapist-led podcast where we talk about the things no one warned you about, the truths that are often kept quiet.
We're naming the messy parts of life: motherhood, fertility, loss, grief, and joy, and everything in between, without judgment.
Because the rarely spoken truths need to be said out loud, and because no one should feel alone.
Welcome to What No Mom Told You. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. My name's Megan Nelson, and I'm here with my trusted co-host, Pauline Walfish. Today, Pauline is introducing our guest.
Hello, everybody, and thank you, Megan. I'm Pauline Walfish, and I am super excited to introduce our guest today. So the man behind the keyboard is my friend, Dave Roman, and also David, but we know him as Dave, and he has agreed to be here today to do a special episode with us for Father's Day, and we're just going to ignore the fact that he's wearing a Mets jersey.
We said no politics.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I mean, he could have worn a Knicks jersey today.
We're going to the game. My son and I going to the game. He wanted to wear his Mets jersey, and sometimes we do matchies, and that's what
That's
this is.
I mean, the things that we do for our kids. So Dave is, as you can see behind the keyboard, he is a audio engineer. He is an entrepreneur. He is a musician at heart. I think his most infamous role has been as the fourth band member in the band called the Three Jerks. Will go down in history as the best name ever. They did play CBGB's one time, and I had to use the bathroom. So the bathroom at CBGB's, I will never forget that experience. But we had some fun times. And throughout that time, Dave became a dad. So it's been fun watching you. When we were trying to figure out who we were going to get on the podcast for this episode, I thought about your recent performance of a Broadway princess song at your child's PTA, and I thought, oh, Dave is going to be good for this.
Tell us more about that. What's this?
Well, so I have a drama degree, and I was the guy always in the play. I mean, geez, since first grade, basically, right? A homemade bunny costume by my father and everything, and I forget the name, but, been doing that forever. Always loved performing, grew up on musicals, Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers, all that kind of stuff. And that's kind of like, there are probably, if any of my friends or colleagues or anything that are listening to this, they're going to hear that and go, really, Dave, the guy that listens to like thrash metal and hardcore and all that kind of stuff and usually starts the mosh pit? Yeah, I grew up on all that. So I always loved performing, whether it was Shakespeare or a musical or whatever. So anyway, fast forward to nowadays and not really having much opportunity to do that kind of thing. We live in an area here where the school is particularly small for a New York City school, and thankfully the community is pretty darn good at, like, as far as the PTA and all that kind of thing. And in one of the meetings, somebody said, "Hey, we're thinking of doing a fundraiser. We're constantly raising funds because, unfortunately, our school is an appeal school, whole different thing. But basically, we have to raise most of the money." So someone had the idea to do this, and I immediately said, "Sure, I'll do it."
All right, give us a line.
A line? It was mostly songs, but yeah, I did.
Yeah. I mean, sing a line, whatever you call it.
Gosh, I can't think of anything right now.
I didn't tell him I was going to make him sing.
I did sing. I sang "Let It Go," which was pitched down, obviously.
I was going to say.
Yeah, no, I can't do that. Idina Menzel. No,
Yeah.
I'm a Barry. That can't do that. We did a Toy Story number, and then actually we just did it this year, a couple of months ago, which we did completely other things. I did a million dreams. A million dreams are keeping me awake. A million dreams for the world we're gonna make. That kind of thing. Dressed up in costume, whatnot. Yeah. So it's fun and therapeutic in some ways. Actually, it's both.
It's more therapeutic than you realize, Dave.
I suspected it would be, and I was happy that it turned out the way it did. It was also a ton of work, a ton of additional stress that I don't need, trying to schedule rehearsals and everything. But but everyone else is going through the same thing, so it's not unique to you. But the outcome of it, not to mention the fact that you get to go out there and do that. And in my case, it was like my kids, yeah, they've never seen me do anything like that. They've never seen me do a lot of things, right? Like, I'll hop, the first time I hopped on a skateboard and they were on their scooters and I did a slappy on the curb, they were like, "Wow, Pop." And it's like, guys, that's the easiest trick and probably the only one I can do at my age these days. But like, this is what I used to do, right?
Mhm.
But they've never seen that. So to go up there and mostly for my daughter to show her like, yeah, this is I can do this. It was fun. But then also the part that I didn't really know was going to happen, and I'm so glad it did. Is so the rehearsal, the whole thing was it was all dads, and they were it was it started out as Disney dads because the whole thing was we were going to perform Disney numbers, various Disney numbers that hopefully the kids were familiar with. And what came out of there was like friendships. So that community, which was, we would sort of see each other every day, a drop off and pick up, and maybe at a, harvest festival dance or something like that, but then it became like, uh, just, hey, you guys want to have lunch? Who works from home? Let's have lunch this week. Hey, I can probably squeeze some time between these two meetings on this day. Who wants to go kart racing? Just cool stuff like that. And I put together like, hey, didn't you say you have a mountain bike? Yeah, let's go mountain biking Sunday morning, like before the kids get up. Like, so it's been that for the last, I don't know, year and a half or something like that. And that's like, I think a lot of us needed that. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it was cool, and it's still cool.
I kind of have goosebumps hearing you talk about it because we talk all the time about how important community is. And for the moms that we work with, meeting other moms and being with other people. And we always talk about the dads, but it's so hard to get for us to reach them and to get them to buy in to like, oh my gosh, it's so great to have a community. So to hear you talk about like that coming together through your children
Yes.
is really, really exciting.
Yeah, no, that's like I said, that was the result that I wasn't quite expecting, but I'm so happy that it's happened because yeah, it's changed things for the last year or so. Yeah.
So you sound like the fun dad. Is that your role in the family, or what would you say? What's your role in your family dynamic with your kids?
I suppose I'm the fun dad or the fun one. I mean, mom likes to have fun for sure,
Sure.
but I'm yeah, I mean, I work from home, which is great. Like I mentioned, but that also means that I basically take care of the kids, at least on the weekdays, which is, I do my best to squeeze fun in there. I've always told my son, I don't know if he remembers this or not, but I've always told him, it's about having fun. This is what I want you to, life should be about having fun. Although that doesn't mean I'm going to let you get away with murder, but we should always try to have fun. So yeah, it's an awful lot of work, Monday through Thursday at the very least, and sometimes Fridays too. And then you get to have the weekend. And then every time I talk to my parents, they're always like, "Oh, it's the weekend. What are you gonna do? You gonna rest up?" I'm like, "No, I'm gonna do the same thing, just without homework or school or whatever." You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, no, it could be worse. The only difference is that my wife is always home on the weekend, so okay, now it's two of us, so that's a little bit better. But yeah, I mean,
Very
always trying to squeeze in where we can some kind of fun activity. My son in particular is an absolute dynamo when it comes to energy, and he's yeah. So we do our best to provide situations and activities where they can be active, especially him.
yeah. But you have sort of like the non-traditional role in your family, right? Like as far as parenting, leaving the home, going to work, commuting, like you're the one who's home all of the time.
It's certainly opposite to the way I grew up. My father went to work every day, 9 to 5, was always home for dinner. But mom didn't work, and she was always there, right? I mean, and she was always there, like not just drop off pickup, but well, I guess kind of similar to me in that she would always be on school trips. I mean, when I went to kindergarten, I had to get bused to kindergarten, and my mom was like on the bus with us every day as like a parent helper. So yeah, so definitely opposite to that. I mean, certainly things got sort of upended and everything during COVID, but for the most part, my wife has always had an office to go to and she could work from home a little, like 1 or 2 days. Then, of course, COVID came and it was 5 days. And then little by little, now we've worked our way up to 4 days a week in the office. Whereas I will occasionally travel, but, that's sort of a rarity, especially in post COVID life. So, yeah, I'm home every day and yeah, and I take care of them whenever they're home or we have extracurricular activities. The difference wherein is probably the largest amount of my stress is that my job, thankfully, I work from home, but my office is in California. My accounts are here on the East Coast. If the Jersey didn't tip it off, yeah, I'm in New York City. And, everything has to happen, if not now, 5 minutes ago, or sorry, 10 minutes ago. No, actually, why didn't, like, and it's a constant challenge to, I mean, I tell my wife or anyone that I talk to that like basically every day is take your kids to work day. Now, granted, they're not here during the hours of 8 and 2:30 or whatever, right? But there are times that I'm talking to someone at over breakfast. I'm emailing or texting an account back and forth because they need something. And then when the kids come home, I mean, I might go pick them up with earbuds in. It's like, guys, I'm in a meeting, and they still don't quite understand, and I get it, but they're 8 and 10, so they don't quite understand. Like when I say I'm in a meeting, like, sorry, I can't talk to you right now about what happened at school or whose house you want to go to, or, not right now. We will, but not at the moment. I always tell them, like, unless there's a bear in the house, leave me alone. Not right now. Well, I'll get to it, I promise, but,
Yeah, it's hard. It's like doing 2 jobs. We weren't meant to do 2 jobs at once, right?
no,
And
and
for
that's the
working at
thing.
home parents.
Totally. And then, extracurricular activities, whether it's baseball or art class or martial arts or whatever, or even just getting dinner together at home, right?
Or like even a play date. It's not like we used to go out on our bikes and just meet up with them.
Yeah.
You have to
No.
drive them to or walk them to it.
No. Yep,
And
totally. So
supervise.
yes, and unfortunately, in my case, a lot of that, if it's happening on a weekday, my office is in California. So I'm still getting emails. I'm still getting phone calls. I'm still getting text messages. There are still things that I either need to respond to or initiate. And that's all happening while, while they're home. So
Yeah.
it's sort of the role flip, but also yes, but
You're
with a
doing
twist
double
in my
duty.
yeah.
Yeah. So I need to know, does the school still call your wife first or do they call you first?
They have her number on record first. Yes.
Oh, makes me so angry.
I don't know that that's a mom-dad thing. I think that's I'm gonna assume it's a paperwork thing. I don't know. I'll
No, because we've tried to get it switched to my husband multiple times.
Really? Okay, yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe, yeah. I mean, I'll tell you that within the family, I'm everyone's number one, like, emergency contact because everybody knows that I pick up the phone. I'm wired to pick up the phone from both work and just, I don't know, me. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty funny though.
Yeah, nope, it's a system flaw. They used to do it, you know, my husband and I had opposite shifts and different kinds of jobs. I was in a hospital. Like there was no like just answer the phone or drop what you're doing. And he had more flexibility. And I'd be like, please call him first. Like it it somehow they always call the mom first.
I hadn't thought of that, but yeah, like that. Yeah, I could see that happening.
Yeah. And you are the one that's there. You're dropping them off at school every day. You're picking them up at
So
school
yeah,
every day. You're dancing on stage as the Disney dad. Like you're really an involved dad. I'm sure that the school knows you.
yeah, yes. Most of the school knows me. Yes.
What was this your perception of what parenthood would be like before you had kids?
Yes and no. I will. So you were kind enough to send a little sort of PDF prep thing, and I'd like to say that the first thing that I was not aware of is how hard it is to have kids. I don't know. I grew up always thinking like I don't know. It's pretty easy. That's what I thought. Not that anybody said that, but I just sort
Well,
of
they
that was
say
my
don't get pregnant.
well, yeah, that was it too, right? Like
Don't get
sex
someone
education
pregnant.
and all that and whatever, movies and and it's just like, yeah, piece of cake. So you do it when you're ready. And yeah, and in our case, when we were ready, it wasn't easy. It was not easy. It was the opposite of easy. It was years of, yeah, years of an absolute emotional roller coaster with the biggest, the tallest climbs and the steepest drops and the lowest drops, and it was painful. And thankfully we got to the end of it, and we don't dwell on that, but it happened. And certainly it was the kind of thing like if anyone ever asks me about like, yeah, I'm thinking about, yeah, well, make sure you do it because, or you prepare for it in whatever way you're going to prepare for it. But just be aware that it ain't as easy as you think. And especially as older as you get or whatever your particular situation may be. I was not prepared for that. I don't believe my wife was prepared for that, but I sure as hell was not. And yeah, and I guess I wasn't. As a matter of fact, this brings up a memory, and this may sound again completely ridiculous, but remember, I was really, really young, so I couldn't tell you how young I was, but I remember my mom watching probably some bad TV show, right, like a mini series or something like that. I can't remember what it was. As a matter of fact, it may have even been like something on Priscilla Presley or something like that. Anyway, I remember that the woman in the TV show, and I think I was just like looking over her shoulder kind of thing at the moment. Not that I was sitting there watching it with her. She had a miscarriage. And I remember like, the scene being like so tense and, obviously now, right? And my mom reacting to it like, oh my God, this is terrible. And me just thinking like, what's the big deal? They can just have another baby. Like it's easy, And again, I was really small, didn't understand any of that.
There's
So
still some adults that have that reaction too. Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, anyway, I assumed it was easy. It was not easy. It was a great pain. It was and thankfully, the two of us were able to get through it and support each other through it. I think my wife understood that I was supportive. I think she was able to get that because it was a tough time.
Sorry, Megan, you really, and you as a couple, really chose to deal with it very quietly and privately I said before we turned the cameras on, I still remember you all pulling up to my house and Gloria getting out of the car, like visibly pregnant. We were like, what is happening here? Like, had no idea.
Yeah, it was a tough ride, and it started off bumpy and then just got worse and worse. And yeah, and like I said, there were moments in some cases, and at least one moment of elation, and then you go down that steep drop which you weren't expecting. And yeah, so we were. I think we're always relatively private with that kind of stuff, but as the experience went further and further, we got even more private because it's a deep wound. Lots of deep wounds for yeah, multiple years. It was a struggle. But
Where did you
anyway,
find support?
family mostly, again, because we were very private about it, all of it. So mostly family. Yeah. So thankfully Gloria, she's got 3 sisters, and they may as well be my sisters. They're amazing people, and yeah, and then I would just open up to my parents as well, and my mom was supportive, and my mom told me stuff that I didn't know as a kid as well, right? So yeah, mostly family, occasionally friends, but it was mostly a family thing, and yeah,
Yeah.
but
I mean,
we
I
got
think
through it, and
yeah,
here we
but
are.
I mean, it's a reminder, right, that having a pregnancy after a loss is just a different experience,
Yes,
right? You weren't making announcements on Facebook and posting sonogram pictures and telling everybody the minute you got the news, right? It was much, much farther into your pregnancy than when you chose to share with people what was happening.
definitely. Yes.
We talk about, Pauline and I both have run infertility groups, and we talk about that the female is generally the identified patient. She has a uterus, right? And that must feel really lonely for that there's not a whole lot you can do. While it's a lot of stress on the female, medications, and, I don't know what your story is, but different people have different stories. And yet it must be really difficult for the male partner or another partner who's not pregnant to be like sitting there going, there's not a whole lot I can do except try to support them the best I can.
I mean, I know in our case, my wife is very like I mean, if she's got a headache, she sort of just wants to sit and like not talk to anyone, that kind of thing. So and if she's sick or whatever, it's like, hey, do you want me to get you something? Should I drive over to the pharmacy, get you some Tylenol? Do you want me to get you soup at your favorite Chinese restaurant, or all those kind of things? And it's a lot of like, no, no, just leave me alone, just leave me alone. So amplify that into this, and the helplessness is yeah, it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible because you see the person you love and you can't do anything about it, right? And you want to, I guess, provide space, but you also want to be of help, and you can't, or you can, I guess, in some ways, and you find the ways, but but yeah, it's quite difficult, and in our case, it was definitely difficult.
Yeah. And who takes care of you?
Yeah, I don't know. Let me know when you find out.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times the dad's forgotten or not centered.
Yeah, it was. Yes, there were moments, thankfully, that I guess I said or did the right thing, and it wasn't something that I was necessarily conscious about.
Well, I'm sure that there were moments where you said or did the wrong thing too.
Well, no,
Just
that couldn't. That's
just like let's be fair,
highly
you are not
unlikely.
perfect.
Highly unlikely. No, no, but like, in throughout that whole process, there were lots of decisions to be made, lots of sort of strategic decisions, lots of emotional decisions, or strategic decisions with lots of emotion behind them. And, I think there were a couple of moments that I can remember where I guess I said the right thing, and I could see that, and that made me feel better. At least that she knew that I was, yeah,
It was
doing.
fuel to keep going. And yeah.
Yeah, but wow, it was hard. I never want to do that ever again.
So now you have these two kids,
Yes. Yes.
and they're like in adolescence now. What
Yeah.
else surprised you?
It's
What,
getting
8 to
there.
10
We're get
adolescents?
well, he's going to junior high next year. That's a
My
struggle.
gosh.
That's a struggle I'm dealing with right now. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, so yeah, as I think I mentioned before, he's an absolute dynamo of energy. There's no stopping him. He has only recently calmed down while he's sleeping, because he used to like move around in the bed and everything, and be like, dude, how'd you end up upside down in your bed, like flipped over or whatever? Like, he's just got so much energy. Like when he was born, well, I guess as soon as he could walk, it was probably around it. I used to drink, I don't know, a cup of coffee a year. And somewhere around 41, I was just like, I have to drink coffee every morning. Like, I don't know how do I keep up with this guy? And I would take him to daycare, and I figured out very early on, I figured out a lot of things with my son. I feel like, I don't know if every father says this or whatever, but I feel like I understand him. I get him. I can figure it out. That doesn't mean that we don't argue, and sometimes he, makes me want to bang my head against the wall because I don't get it. But I see a lot of it. For example, like when I think the first day that I dropped him off at daycare, he was pretty darn young. He's probably about 5 months or so old. And I drop him off. And when I picked him up, they were like, he doesn't want to drink the bottle. And I was like, what do you mean he doesn't want to drink the bottle? He drinks the bottle all the time at home. So long story short, I ended up figuring out he didn't like the silicone, I think it was silicone or plastic or whatever it was, nipples that my wife had given him for the daycare. And I think I was observing him or something. And I was like, he doesn't like that. So we got him like the more textured one. That's like the darker yellow. And of course the daycare was like, no, that's not it. That's not it. I was like, you watch. And sure enough, perfect. So anyway, the same daycare, I figured out pretty early on that if I just like got him there and was like, "Okay, man, see you later," and walked out, he was not into that, right? Like he would have some separation anxiety. Whereas if I got there about 15 minutes early or so, and I would sit with him outside of all the classes, and he would just like run up and down the hall, and all the teachers would look at me like, "Oh my God." I'm like, "Yeah, trust me." He didn't, like he had like like a bakery bun or something like that, like not a donut, nothing, no sugar or anything. Like that's just him running up and down the halls. And he would, always like just kind of check in on me and run in and out of the classrooms. So I figured out that, yeah, that then he was cool. Like afterwards, be like, "All right, I got to leave. I'll see you later. Okay. See you in a few hours." Okay. No problem. But the point just being that, yeah, got a lot of energy, have to keep up with him, still do that. When he went to camp for the first time, this is day camp. I don't even know how many years ago that would have been. Let's just say 4 or 5 years ago. So we sent him to this camp where it was like outdoors, huge property, absolutely huge property. It was like just all physical activities all day long. And when we signed him up, like we showed him pictures and everything, it's like, dude, you're gonna be running and playing basketball and baseball and swimming and all this stuff. When I pick you up, you're gonna be exhausted. You're gonna be like, "Pop, I just want to take I just want to go right to bed." The first day I picked him up, he gets off the bus. I'm like, "How was it?" "It was cool." "Can we go to the playground?" It's like, Are you kidding? No." So yeah, it's
This
he's a
coming
lot.
from, I'm gonna say he might take after his dad just a little bit, who would, like, ride your bike, like, 50 miles every day, be like, "Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll come visit," get on the bike and ride from, like, Jackson Heights to Nassau County to
sure.
grab a drink with a friend or a cup of coffee. So,
Yeah.
like, and let's not forget we are recording at 10 AM, and when I texted you yesterday if you were free at 10, you're like, "I don't think I'll be home by then. We're going to the game." And I was like, "Did you think I meant 10 PM?" Because, like, I'm not working at 10 PM, and you just had no, like, never crossed your mind that I meant 10 AM.
No, I was absolutely certain you meant 10 PM. No. To me, there's I think things don't really happen that are not kids related until nighttime when they're in bed, frankly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, yeah,
So
no,
so
there's
he might have gotten a little bit of the high energy from his dad.
yeah, that he's gotten a lot from me, for sure, and that's part of it. That being said,
That's why you get him.
I don't have that kinda high energy anymore.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Not
So,
anymore.
I
Yeah.
do my best, and I absolutely will do my best, but, yeah, when we're out and he has, like, a baseball game, which now I'm, like, volunteer coach for his baseball team, and, then he wants to play catch afterwards for a little while, and then we get home, and he's like, "Hey, can we play catch in the living room?" I'm like, "Dude, I am so done. Are you kidding? Like, you don't know what it was to get you to just for half the day to do all this stuff with you, and you want more, more, more." Yeah, it's a lot. And that's just him. Then there's the other one.
Yeah. I don't know
And
about
and
you, but
she also keeps you on your toes.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Yes. And the
I've got opposite kids. I don't know if that's what yours are like. If it's like one is more one extreme and then the others, So I had to parent two different ways. Do
I
you?
have to parent 2 different ways, but I don't quite have opposites. I have 2 children with an abundance of energy that manifests itself in different ways. He is all about running, jumping. It's all about baseball, but it's all about being super active, like physically. My daughter is more like super active in that she wants to like go do things, arts and crafts. I want to cook something. Yeah, I want to build something. I want to draw something. I want to create something. She's constantly watching YouTube videos about arts and crafts stuff. And it's very it's I don't want to say it's harder with her, frankly, because the stuff that yeah, and thinking about this, I know exactly where she gets it from. She tends to go to activities that I'll look at and it's like, that is you're biting off way more than you can chew. That is way more either involved than you think it is. It's way more time consuming than you think it is. Like, in other words, like, hey, we have 20 minutes before we need to go do whatever it is we're going to go do. No, you're not going to be able to create an entire flip book comic in 20 minutes or
Yes, she can.
No, I'm thinking
well,
like, I bet you can.
I bet she can.
so here's the thing. Sometimes she can, and often she does, or she does her version of it. And she's, again, biased, of course, but I think she's unbelievably talented when it comes to any of that kind of stuff, any art of any sort, whether she's drawing or cutting things out and pasting together. She's very imaginative. She made me this pre-Father's Day gift that she already gave me, and she did it like, I don't know, not even in an hour. Like, I'm going up and down the stairs. She's like, you can't look. I'm doing something. Like, okay, fine. I'm not looking. And before you know it, she hands it to me. And it's like this little booklet. Every page has a drawing on it, but it wasn't just a drawing thing. It was like, it was, what was it? It was a little cat, I think. So it was a cutout of a drawing of a cat, and I guess it's kind of like those books that they would have, like the little
Like the
little
flip
little bear goes
motion.
to sleep. So it was like a little cutout of a cat, and then you have to take him out of the sleeve, and then you have to put him in the bathtub, and here's the oh, and I didn't even realize she's gonna kill me if it wasn't a cat. I think it was a cat. Maybe it was a dog. But, I didn't even realize, like, it had a tiny little, like, leaf and, like, mud, like, cut out and stuck to it. So it's like, "Oh, you have to put him in the bathtub, and you gotta here's the soap, and here's the shower thing, and you have to get the leaves off because he's dirty," right? And then it was, "Okay, now you gotta get him out here's the towel." And this is, like, page after page of doing this. I'm like, "How did you do this in, like, less than an hour?" So I have to walk this line of allowing her to be creative, get that out, practice because I think she's awesome and I think she could just get even better. But I also have to be, one eye on her and like, what are you doing with that glue gun? You know,
So
you
does my
can't,
husband.
like, what are you doing with that? You need to be supervised with a glue gun, and things of that nature, right?
Gonna make a dress out of your curtains.
Yeah, totally, exactly. She's the one that's gonna do that sort of thing. So
Megan will be happy to
It's a girl after
coach
my
her
own
along the
heart.
way.
I mean, I didn't really get one of those. And I really thought my kids would be like that. This is 100%, who I still am to this day, making stuff. And once my kids were toddlers, I was like, what do you mean you don't want to sit down and color? What do you mean you don't want to like make things? They're off running around. They're doing stuff that they want to do. They're using their bodies. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and that makes it tough for me if I'm the only parent in the moment. It makes it tough for me because I got one that wants to just run like a lunatic, and the other one wants to I don't know,
Create.
let
Makes make
I want to build an entire mansion out of popsicle sticks today or something. It's like
And you're trying to work at the same time.
very often, yes, yeah.
So where does that leave room for you as a
Well, that's where
man
10 p.m. comes
and a
in.
person?
That's where
That's
10
where
PM
what?
comes in. That's where 10 PM comes in, right? Like,
Mm,
when and the problem these days is they're going to sleep later and later, right? Because 'Cause they're getting bigger. So, I mean, they used to be in bed, I feel like it was just yesterday, although I guess it wasn't, but they'd be in bed by 7:30, and, now it's more like 8:39, you know? And, and occasionally later than that, although they're in their bedroom and they're yapping and not going to sleep. So, yeah, so my time to get work done, which I used to be able to do an album in a day because I was focused. Like, I've got 6, 7, 8 hours, whatever, to work on an album. Sure, I'll do your album and I'll have it done, have it for you by Monday so you can listen to it. Where now it's like it takes days and days and days and a lot of times where I don't really feel like doing it because I'm exhausted, but I have to go downstairs and I got to start it. And I'll tell them like, go to sleep. I'll be downstairs. I can't hang out up here with you for too long or whatever. But yeah, so it doesn't leave much time for that. And probably the worst part of all of this is that it doesn't leave much time for my wife and I. just to talk. And it's like the little time that we have, we're not even able to utilize simply out of exhaustion. So I'm exhausted because it was yet another take your kids to work day, which may or may not have included a couple of meltdowns by them, may have included a meltdown by me. Don't know, right? And she's exhausted because she's at the office with a horrible 2-hour commute, maybe because the trains were delayed or whatever the case is. And so, so even if we do have like an hour or so together, she'll probably fall asleep. I might fall asleep. No, neither one of us necessarily feel like talking from a just exhaustion standpoint.
Yeah.
And it just becomes like, what do you want to watch? I don't know what do you want to watch? And then before you know it, we're not watching anything. and and she's got to go to bed because she's got to get up early. And yeah, there's not much time. And unfortunately, which is something I mean, I don't know. I suppose I should have known, I guess, but we still have 3 out of 4 parents at this point, but th none of them are really able to help for various reasons. She's got 3 sisters, but they can't really help for various reasons, and unfortunately, which is something that I keep saying, especially this year and maybe part of last year, the kids are old enough now where I feel like we need to find a babysitter, someone that we can rely on, that we can just kinda say like, "Hey, tomorrow or this weekend, we need you to come over and watch them for a few hours." But we've never had that. We still don't have that. We're at least talking about it, and we need to, pick up the search.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot, and we don't really get enough time at all to even have a conversation or even to plan a lot of times the next activities. Most of the time, if we're planning activities like a vacation or something like that, it's over text message while we're at we're doing work. And that's a challenge in and of itself because sometimes like she's in a meeting and I'm free and I'm texting her and she's like, "I can't talk right now, I'm in a meeting." Or sometimes it's flipped. Or we'll write each other something and completely misinterpret it because you've abbreviated it or it's been truncated or auto spelling or
And you
or
can't read
autocorrect.
tone or intention or
Nope, all those things. Yeah, so
And all of a sudden you think they don't want to go on the trip that you want to go on.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. So that's tough. Although this year we also have a little bit of hope because the dads that have gotten really close, I mentioned it one day, I think a drop off was like, "All right, we need to start figuring something out here. Like, if you take my kids, I'll take your kids." Because the kids have gotten pretty close too because the families have been hanging out a lot more. And we've gotten a lot of nods like, "Yeah, we know you could use that, and we could probably use that too." So, yes, just pick a date and
yeah, I
we'll
remember the
try
first
for
time a neighbor was like, "Send your kid over so I could like wrap Christmas presents." And I was like, "Oh my God, this is like life changing." Like, yes, just like an hour. It made
It
such a
really is.
difference.
It makes the world a difference. My parents and my husband's parents lived down south, and we never had any family where we lived. And we lived in the city for many years and then moved out to Long Island. And the thing that saved us is trading kids with our neighbors. And like, I never expected that that would be something, but you can't pay for a sitter when you need to just run down to the grocery store real quick and or whatever, or you want to go on a date or anything, and you can't always afford a sitter, and they're not always available. And it was definitely one of the greatest things in my life is to have people you could trade with.
Yeah, we need to work on that.
Yeah, yeah. And you have to be intentional about it. Like, it doesn't just accidentally happen. Like, if you want to find time to spend or you wanna go out on a date, like, it has to be something that you commit to, give attention to, make it happen.
We always talk about like there's only so many pieces you can cut a pie into, right? You can't make the pie bigger. So then you have to borrow the pie. And you have to borrow a pie piece from another pie piece, and it's hard. It's really difficult.
Yeah. So Dave, what's the thing that like no mom told you or no dad told you, right? Like the one of the things that you as a father have had to learn on your own.
That's tough, I guess, because I feel like I suppose, there's a lot of cliche. I mean, honestly, I would say the biggest one is that you don't get to talk to your wife anymore. That's the biggest one, that you miss your spouse. And that's probably different for different situations, but that's probably, to me, that's the biggest one. Other than that, it's, again, my naivete, but even when I was older, much older, I remember talking to friends that had kids and, like, saying things like, "Hey, you wanna hang out? Let's go mountain biking. Let's go to whatever. Let's do this." And they would just be like, "Yeah, I don't have any time." Like, "Come on, you can find time. There's some time." Like, "Can't your wife take care of your kid for a couple of hours, whatever?" And now I understand what they meant. To me, it was a
Yeah.
foreign concept. It was like, you can find time, but like you just said, like, no, there wasn't any time. The pie is only so big, and yeah, that's become a harsh reality.
Yeah.
Speaking of time, I do have to run,
Yeah.
but
This was great. Thank you so much for sharing the other side, the side that we don't always get to hear.
yeah,
And you are an amazing dad.
Thank you.
thank you for being so honest and sharing. And hopefully, we'll get some dads to listen to this episode now.
Yeah. And a bunch of wives who are going to make their husbands listen, be like, "Listen to this, dad."
Well, yeah,
So, thank you.
I'm not Bandit from Bluey, who we all aspire to be, but I think we try. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye, everybody. We'll see you soon. Thanks for spending this time with us. If you found yourself nodding along or saying, "Same," that's kind of the point.
We hope you leave today feeling a little less alone. This is what no mom told you. And yeah, there's more where that came from.